Why ahoy there, gamers! Today we're going to review Expedetion Northwest Passage. Let's check it out. Setup for the game is very simple. First off, you're going to put 4 tiles out of here. You're going to draw them out of this nice, beautiful, sturdy bag. You're going to draw 4 tiles out here. You're going to have these tiles pre-stacked, and I only put 1 out just for the video here, but you'll have them stacked with these types of each one. So there's several just straight water ones, straight ice ones, single peninsula, double peninsula, and so on and so forth, and you'll just lay them out in those areas. You'll also lay out the point counters. Every person will get 8 meeples, sailor meeples, where one of them will start up here on the turn track. Over here you have your little sun and winter summer icon, and it'll start here, and it's going to go around the board 10 rotations. So it's going to end right here where it says the end, basically on its second turn around. Each player will also have their own sled and their own ship that they'll be using to explore this beautiful Northwest Passage. Now they're also going to have a little player board. There's for 4 players there. I'm going to be the white player in this video, and so everyone's going to have their player board here, and they're going to put all their little sailing meeples right here where the ship is. This is for the ship, and this is for the sled. Now what you're doing in this game is you're trying to be an explorer. You're trying to find passage over to get to here and hopefully back. And there's a lot of actions that you can do in the game. Now let me just talk about this little winter summer icon. This is a great mechanism in the game. The game starts, anything below the yellow part of this circle is not frozen, meaning I can sail through the ocean here. Anything above this line, because it's in the winter time, that means the water is frozen. If I have a ship there, he is stuck. They cannot move. However, a sled can ride anywhere over water and land. Usually in the summer, a sled here can only, or in warmer weather I should say, a sled can only ride over, you know, the islands. But if it's colder weather, then they can glide over this frozen water and land. So you're going to need both of them to explore. But first off, you'll just start with your ship right there in Greenland. Now throughout the game, you're going to be using your little meeple tokens to conduct one of these actions. And the player board gives you what all your actions are. And the numbers allocate how many sailors that you need to spend in order to execute that action. So let's just start here with the first one. For the price of 1 sailor, I can choose one of these 4 tiles up here. And I can have any one I want. So let's say I choose this one. All right. Now, once you choose a tile, you have to dig back into the bag randomly and select another tile to replace it. The next action you can take, you can pay 2 little sailor meeples, and with that, you can actually, as it shows you here, you can trash all of these, draw out 4 more random ones, and pick one of those from this nice, beautiful bag. All right. So third action you can do is actually play one of your map tiles. And to do that, of course, you'd have to pay a sailor token. And playing the map tile, you have to make sure that it lines up with the other tiles that you are on. So for instance, let's say I'm right here. Okay, I cannot place this tile up here because I'm not up there. I have to place it either here, here, or here, somewhere around here where it'll fit. The other rule is I have to make sure everything matches up. Land matches land, water matches water. So for instance, I couldn't do this because even though water and land match here, the land and water do not match. So that would be an improper tile placement. These tiles are double-sided, so they show the mirror image of what's on the back. So for instance, I was like, oh man, how can I get that in there? I can do it like that, but I don't want to do it long ways. I want to do it down a little bit. Well, I'll just flip it over, and there it is, and I can complete it. That's how you can place tiles. The next action you can do, for 1 meeple, you can move either your boat or your sled. So I could just pay 1 meeple, and I could move him to this area. The next action is, for 1 meeple, you can transfer people from your ship to your sled. Eventually, especially when winter's coming around, you're definitely going to want to push out your sled out there and have your sled do some exploring. Like I said, if the, let's say the icon is here now, well, that means half the board is frozen while the bottom half isn't. And then, of course, as the rounds go by, most of this will be frozen and only the bottom line will not. Well, if that's the case, then my ship will be frozen in the water and I can send out my sled, which now can basically cruise through everything, right? Because it can cruise through water and land. And to do that, I will need to have the proper tokens on the sled. Now, you're going to keep these separate every time you divide them, because you cannot do actions for, let's say, the ship from the sled actions. Let me give you an example here. Let's say that I'm way back here and the sled's here, and I want to investigate this. Now, I have 3 people in my boat and 2 people on the sled, and I decide to investigate. I'm going to spin meeples from my ship. No, I can't do that. It has to be people from the sled in order to execute an action that the sled's going to be doing. So, for instance, if I'm placing a tile, well, if I'm placing a tile up around where my sled is, I need to use one of the meeples from my sled. And whenever you use any of your meeples, it slides here at the bottom, showing that it has been used. Now, during this time, you may say, man, I really messed up. I needed more people on my sled than I need on my boat. So what you would do is you could pay a meeple and then switch anyone over. Or if they're down here, you could pay another meeple and switch some people over. And at the end of every round, all the meeples will go back up in their respective categories of where you last had them. The next 2 movements, I've already talked a little bit about it, is exploring. Depending on what the icon is, it takes 2 meeples to explore these 2 icons, Eskimos and piles here, and then to do the canoes and the navigational stars, it costs 3 meeples. And what you're doing is when you're near, either sled's near that or the ship's near that area, if it's on that tile, you can choose to explore it, and you're going to take that little tile with you. And as you see, some of the tiles have no icons on them, but others do carry those other icons. And when you play one of these, you're going to put a little token on that tile to show, hey, you can explore this and get one of these nifty extra bonus points in the game. What you do is when you finally collect one, you're going to place it on your map in the respective category on your player board here, and depending where you found it on the board, that gives you so many points. So for instance, as you see, the board is divided into 3 areas. We got the 1 times, 2 times, and 3 times, meaning things I find here will be pretty cheap in points, but the further along I go, closer to the Northwest Passage, my expedition is going to find better rewards and higher point values when they research stuff. So if we look at the Eskimo here, that's 2 points if I find him in the farthest category. If I find him in the middle of the board, he's worth 4 points. If I find him at the end of the board, he's worth 6 points. Same thing for these and these, they all tally up. Now these last 2 here, you see some other points on the side. What this is at the end of the game, you can also score additional points. If you were the first place in finding the most canoes, you're going to get 13 points. Second place gets 7, third place gets 4. Same thing up here. First place gets 11, 5, and then 2. The other one that you see here is Navigator. Now, throughout the game, you're going to be completing islands with tiles like I just did here. When you complete a tile, you're going to get a little Navigator token, and you're going to get bonus points. Now, depending on how many tiles it takes to complete an island determines the amount of points you get. As you see here, I connected this one to 2 other tiles on the board, so it took 3 tiles to form this island. So look at this, any island formed with 2 to 3 tiles, it gives me 1 extra point. And my point tracker is right here indicated by these little things. Everyone has a different color, and you would move it up 1 on the point tracker and of course along the board as you accumulate points. As you see though, the more tiles you use to form, because sometimes these islands can get really big, if you form something with 5 tiles, it's worth 3 points. 6 tiles are worth 4 points. And plus, if you get the most Navigator tiles, you could get 9 points, or 5 if you're second, or 2 if you're third. So that's how points are generated in this. So during the game, you're going to be using your sailor meeples from either your ship or your sled, determining on how many you have on each one. You're going to be exploring the area and of course trying to get to the Northwest Passage. Now the first person to get the Northwest Passage will get 15 points. This is in a 4-player game. It scales it down for a 3 and 2 player game. So you would put out this, and first, second, third, fourth would get points. Also, the first person to get back here to Greenland would also gather some extra points. Every round you will switch this marker up. So the next round the marker would go up here, and then everyone would play all their tiles. And anyone who doesn't want to play, like the first person to pass is going to go first in the next round. Let's say that Brown still has some meeples to use, but they don't want to use anymore, and they say, you know what guys, I'm going to go ahead and pass this round. Well, they move their little meeple at the player board up to the number 1 position. And let's say white player says, okay, I pass second. And gray player says, I pass third. And black player says, I pass. He's the last one to pass that round. So now you have a new round in a new order. It would be brown going first, white, gray, and black. And of course, the first person to pass the next round, you know, at the end of the round, the icon, the weather icon would move again. And then let's say gray pass first, white second, brown third, and black pass last again. That's how you would determine who goes first every round. Now, like I said, the game goes around until it gets to 10 rounds, starting with this one at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, which even marks it as the end. And at the end of the game, whoever has the most points wins. Final thoughts, what do I think about the game? Ooh, this is a nice one. You know, I first noticed this game, I was watching someone's top 100, and he listed this game. I was like, ooh, that looks pretty. Let me see what it's about. And usually artwork like this scares me away because it seems too nice. You know, if artwork has this, then that means the board game doesn't have much in it. Man, it is top quality pieces. It is top quality art. I didn't even show you the art inside the box, but it looks like you're inside of a ship. It's fantastic. It's an awesome looking game with a cool mechanism where, you know, the winter, summer comes around and sometimes the land is frozen, sometimes it's not. That's really cool. I think if I had any complaints about it, it would be that you can suffer from serious analysis paralysis. One of the people in my board game group wanted to take tiles, and he took forever just looking at tiles that he could possibly place in areas if he made it there. I mean, yeah, the tile placing is its own puzzle there, but he was just over analyzing every little thing, and he was buying the little short ones, and he basically blocked himself in. Someone blocked him in to a little cul-de-sac where he couldn't get out, and he got stuck frozen. That's another thing. If you are not careful, you will miscalculate on who you send on the sled and who you send on the ship, or you found out, you know, oh, winter came fast, now I'm frozen here for 3 turns, and my sled got caught in the summer, and now it's stuck on an island until it freezes again, and we won't have another deep freeze like that ever again, so I just lost my sled for the rest of the game. There are so many things you have to juggle around and think about. Do I keep using expend all my men now, or do I go ahead and pass because I've got to be first next turn? Like I said, so much strategy surprisingly in this. It doesn't look like it's a great game, but it is a fantastic game. It's based off historical events too. Another win for me. I'm telling you, this was a huge surprise for me, and I really did enjoy it. Another cheap buy, I believe, on Amazon. I think I got it for under 20 bucks. I mean, it was just really cheap, but definitely worth your time. Even at just retail value, I think it's really good. Anyway, gamers, that's all the time I have for now. So until next time, game on.